Welcome to Module 2 of Muse's course, 21 Days to an Enhanced Career. I'm Dr. Linda Cureton. This module is Prompt Engineering 101, and here we're going to learn how to communicate clearly to AI, how to craft better prompts, and think critically before we ask questions of the AI. This is where the quality of your thinking meets the quality of your input, which produces the output. The module is about 10 to 15 minutes, and that includes some exercises that are spread out here and there, and some optional time for reworking some prompts or exploring some of the outputs that you can get from AI. So prompt engineering is the practice of crafting inputs that guide AI to give you useful, relevant, and thoughtful responses. It's not just about writing, it's about how you think before you ask. And great prompts are born from great questions, and great questions produce great output. So effective prompts usually contain four key elements: role, task, tone, constraints. And think of them as levers that you can adjust. You're not just telling the AI what to do, you're shaping how it thinks through the task. So here is an example of a prompt that's broken out in role, task, tone, and constraints. So the outcome that is desired here is communication relative to a fundraising campaign. So the role is you are a nonprofit fundraising strategist. The task is to write an outreach email for their end of year campaign. The tone is warm, heartfelt, but urgent. And the constraints limit a limitation of 150 words and a compelling subject line. So you see here, the prompt is you are a nonprofit fundraising strategist. Write an outreach email for a year-end giving campaign in a warm, heartfelt, and urgent tone. Limit to 150 words. Include a compelling subject line. So here's some additional examples that you can review. And the first example is the desire to produce a professional report, produce a draft. And after you see the draft, you got to read it carefully. It gives you a head start. Remember, this is a junior employee, not your writer or ghostwriter. It can help you in meeting preparation. Here's an example of generating an agenda, 30 minutes, to address a specific subject or specific project. And finally, here's a prompt for creative brainstorming. And so as it applies to your job, play around with some of these and see what kind of output you get. So critical thinking. Critical thinking is an important soft skill or power skill that you have to develop in order to effectively use AI. And what critical thinking does, it helps you question assumptions, evaluates evidence, clarifies intent, considers consequences, and is aware of bias. So when you endeavor in critical thinking, before you prompt, you ask yourself, what assumptions am I making? Am I clarifying my goal? Is the data or context I'm providing accurate and complete? What are the consequences that might follow from the AI's output, especially if I accept it without question? Critical thinking means being aware of your biases, challenging easy answers, and staying intellectually engaged. AI can reflect your logic, but can't supply ethics or wisdom. that comes from you. Here's a quick mental model for critical thinking. And the acronym is CLEAR. First, ask yourself, what's the context? L, what lens or role should AI take? E, what evidence do I already know? A, the audience. And R, for what reasoning or structure should be reflected in the response. Think of AI as a new team member, a junior team member who can learn from your instructions. But like with a junior member, you got to check their work. So every prompt you give, especially those that define role, purpose, or structure, it's a way of teaching the chatbot. And when you give feedback such as make this more concise or try again with a different tone, you're reinforcing the behavior you want and you're teaching the AI what to expect. And we'll explore later how to develop a consistent working relationship with AI more deeply in Module 4. But start paying attention now to how your prompts teach the model what you value. But I caution you, AI is a yes man who will say, you are brilliant, this is great, you're right on target. So don't look for that, but use it like a junior person and assume that that junior person might want to suck up to you. So here's an exercise. Ask the AI, you're a leadership coach, write three strategies for managing change resistance in a team using a warm but authoritative tone. Now, once you do that, change one variable, change tone, change role, and see how that affects the output. That's how you train the AI on your thinking. And so here's some questions to ask yourself. How did the AI interpret warm but authoritative? So look at these questions and reflect to see what the AI did. And once you see what it does, you may decide that to refine your prompt. Or when you refine the prompt, the AI is learning what you really mean. The AI is going to learn what your role is, what your job is, some of the changes in the organization. Now, a word of caution, the AI learns very well. So if you're using, for example, the free version of ChatGPT, the entire world is learning what you're teaching the AI. So if you want things to be private or confidential, the paid version at least, the non-generative functionality is what you need. You don't want it teaching other people's bots what to do. Sometimes you may not care. It could be a recipe for dinner, a menu for dinner on Sunday, or something like that, something that's not necessarily private, or a grocery list based on a menu. But if you are doing something proprietary for your company, don't use a free version of these products. Now remember, AI doesn't really think. It seems like it does, but it doesn't. What it does is that it reflects your thinking. And if your prompt is vague or lazy, well, the result will be too. If your prompt is thoughtful, clear, and intentional, then the response will be sharper. And that's the art and the discipline of prompt engineering. This wraps up Module 2. So now you understand the elements of a good prompt and how to apply critical thinking and how to experiment with structure and tone. In the next module, we'll talk about using AI to automate repetitive tasks and free up your time for higher level thinking. Thank you for your attention. And if you would like a 15-minute consultation, contact me on the email and the contact information that you see below. Thank you very much.